evidently when we record, everyone else sees a pink tint on my screen on my phone, whereas I can't. I got 2013 vision corrected, so I just
It has nothing to do with his vision. It has to do
oh
with the
yeah, I
settings on
forgot
his
about this.
phone, that it is just a little bit more of a paint tint because everybody else can see it except for him. So I think it's a tad color blindness, but or he's just acclimated to it at this point. But anyways, hi guys,
Both.
what's up? It's Madison and James here with AlchemyPhyt. We haven't gotten to talk to you guys together like this in a little bit because we've gotten some awesome content from James doing his vlogging styles and what we do when we go to Hobbs, kind of bringing you guys just a different form of content for a while. And then James getting ready for his race, the DEKA Atlas, which is something we will be talking about today. And so we just wanted to come back and kind of just hang out with you guys for a bit. So James, tell them what we're going to be talking about today.
Well, today we're going to revisit the. You brought this idea up to me last night about AI, and we've already done an episode in the past where we did talk about AI.
If you haven't seen it, go watch it.
Yeah, it's one of our episodes right now. We got we actually utilized AI to make the YouTube description photo, and it gave.
It made us look real
Yeah,
weird.
it's not even you.
No.
It's not even you. And with me, I think I have 3 arms. So I'm like, it's so strange. But that's AI for you. So one of the reasons that we do want to talk and do a follow-up episode to AI is so Madison mentioned that I had the DEKA Atlas competition this past Saturday in Abilene, Texas. And it was the first time for me to do that because we've done the fit, we've done the strong, we haven't done a mile yet.
Which we need to do.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
now.
that's coming.
That's coming. So this was a race that I thought I was ready for and I thought I was training for. So for full transparency purposes, going back to the AI portion of things, do we utilize AI?
Yes.
Yes, we do utilize AI. I was thinking about this earlier when I was on my Echo bike, just, pardon the sound effects.
Weird flex, but okay.
Yes. And thinking about in the 90s when the internet was introduced. Because when the internet was introduced, it was a very significant game changer for a lot of reasons. Of course, you had people in that era like this won't last. This isn't gonna
Or
last.
thought that the world was going to end.
The world was going to end. Oh
2K.
gosh, Y2K. That was a fun night. So clearly, the internet has evolved and continues to evolve. And when I look at artificial intelligence AI and how fast it's grown in the past few years, it's been one of those subjects that I'm really trying to keep ahead of, which is impossible because it's just so fast in terms of its growth. But the way that I use the internet back then as a tool, I'm doing the same thing with AI. We both are. And I felt when I signed up for this DEKA Atlas race, I was like, okay, well, I'm going to input all the information that I want, this, and that. And then I asked ChatGPT, which I call Rook, hey, do you think you can set down kind of just the basics for me about weights? Because with the DEKA Atlas, it's a strength race. It's the strongest race to my knowledge that DEKA offers, Spartan DEKA. And
go check it out. It's really cool.
Yes, it's very cool. Well, the first time that I asked Rook, aka ChatGPT, to do this for me, it gave me the incorrect weights. So of course I inputted the prompt, that is incorrect, fix it. And then it did its little charming thing. Oh, that's on me. Ha ha ha. Sorry, Rook is wrong. I'm paraphrasing here, but it really did that. It tries to have a sense of humor. Sometimes it's effective, sometimes it's not. Well, it corrected it. Or so I thought.
Yes, which is right here.
Yeah.
This is the plan that he used. So this is kind of what it's pretty blurry. Let me see. Yeah, there we go. So he wrote down everything and it categorized it into every station and it had the different weights on it and everything. And so it has it with men and women's weights because, of course, they're going to be different. You have also, from what you told me, you have a foundational one, which is like level 1. And then you have peak, which is the strongest you can go, which essentially is 2 different weight classes to where you can do kind of the foundational weight if you're just getting into the race, just getting started in it, to just kind of see where you're at. And then if you've been doing the DEKA Atlas and been training, then you can go up to peak, where it's going to be the maximum amount of weight that you can do at that station. And so this one had you training for foundational, correct?
So I thought.
What you chose,
Yeah.
yes. And what also that he had chosen on his, I guess you could say, scoring card that you had when you actually did the race. And so I feel like, because this is not going to be a video where we're bashing on AI or saying you got to check everything, because you should know that anyways, as of right now, to always double check your AI stuff, because it's not going to be 100% accurate 100% of the time, just like people aren't. So you've got to double check things. So this is going to be a culmination of just kind of AI error, human error, communication error, because it wasn't just ChatGPT, making a plan for you. It was also the way that you were training about it and the way that the facility ran it itself. And so this had you training in this certain way, which was barbell thruster was 65 pounds for the men, burpee over bar was body weight, surrender lunges were 35-pound dumbbell, dumbbell ground to overhead was a 35-pound dumbbell, dumbbell bear crawl for men was 50 pounds, weighted sit-ups was a 20-pound plate, farmer's carry was 70 pounds per hand, dumbbell shoulder to overhead was 35 pounds, jump rope singles was any rope, and so on and so forth. And so you had been training like this for how long?
Few months.
Just going, and you had also even looked over the rules, because we also have the rules. So you can print these out anywhere. I don't know if it'll focus. You can print these out anywhere. That you can go just DEKA Atlas rules, and it'll have it there for you, because we wanted to make sure we printed them out so that way we could compare and see how well ChatGPT actually did to following these rules. And so you had had these, and you had ChatGPT go off of these rules, and it designs your program. And so you've been training like this for months. I planned his diet plan out the whole time, and we had been cutting weight in terms of getting ready for this race, had we not?
Yes.
And he had been doing great. You were down, over 5 pounds already by the time you hit this race?
From when I signed up for it was 2 months ago, so that's February. Give or take, was around probably 203, 204.
Yeah, I would say so.
And my last weigh in 195. So I've been cutting down weight but retaining strength.
Yeah, because that's what we had specifically mapped out your nutritional goals for, was to cut weight but maintain strength. So you've been doing this for a couple months, and so we were like, all right, he's ready to go, he's cutting the weight, this is going to be awesome. And then he had his race on Saturday, and
25th.
Tell us what went down.
Hubris went down. I was under the assumption of a lot of things, from the AI component of what I had construct for me. Now, with that being said, I told one of my clients this morning, that's why I write my plans in pencil, is because as a trainer, the way that I train my clients, but also myself, it's like, okay, I have this plan set up right here, but I'm going to tweak some things. So what I do typically is Monday is full body Monday, as I call it. Hit everything, and I do a lot of movements that you see on here, which is what I did, from lunges, reverse lunges, to the barbell thrust, anything that just incorporates multiple body parts.
You had been training for this, but on the race day, what happened?
Well, on the race day, I show up in Abilene, Texas. I love to digress, by the way. Showed up, first time visiting their new location over there. I walk in and I see.
You're excited, you're amped up, you're ready to go. This is like Christmas for you, going to do a competition like this.
Yeah, this is my form of going on a vacation. I might be crazy. So I arrive, I walk into the gym, and when you go to a DEKA event, as many as I've been to, you don't know what to expect. Is there going to be a lot of people there? Is there going to be no people there? I've been to several DEKA events, one in Amarillo that comes to mind, and
that was a great turnout. I liked the one in Amarillo.
I went to one before that.
Yeah, the one that we did, though, the partner one, that was a great.
That was a good turnout. That was a good turnout. And then I went to one previous to it. There was hardly anybody there. But this one, when I walked in, I didn't see too many people. So I thought, okay, well, maybe they're hiding somewhere like that. Turns out there was only 6 of us that signed up for this thing. So I was like, Okay.
Already starting off a little weird.
Little like,
Yeah.
okay.
Little light crowd.
This could be a bad sign, good sign. And go to the locker room, get my gear on. When I say gear, I just turned into my AlchemyPhyt tank top and my Metcons, and that was about it. And then I asked one of the volunteers, I'm like, hey, do you think you can show me around, show me the layout? Because I saw two people, they were already finishing up when I got in. And I was the last guy, the last official one to go through it.
Yeah, because they have different heats.
Mhm.
Like they'll tell you have a time frame to come and do the race between like so many hours. So you can come anytime within that hour's window and get started. It doesn't have to be right at this time is the only time you can do it. And
Yeah.
so especially going into it with a different heat, and it's nicer when you do that because I feel like you can take a look at the other people, kind of see how they're doing, if they're super winded, if they've gone through quickly, if it's somebody you know. And so you want to match up. And so continue.
So I asked one of the volunteers, I'm like, hey, could you show me the layout here? And he said, yeah, absolutely, I could. And so we start off at the barbell thruster, which
Station 1.
Station 1, Zone 1. So there's 10 zones, 10 stations, 10 exercises. And the barbell thruster, I noticed there's two of them. Two barbells with two different weights that I'm like,
Because, like we said on the paper, men's is 65 pounds, women is 45. For the foundational, it says it right here. It is 65 pounds.
yeah. But I'm
What
like,
happened on yours?
I was like, those the weight looks a little different. And he said, yeah. And I'm like, oh, okay. It's 95 pounds, which was not what I trained in.
And a 30-pound difference.
Yeah, which was like, oh, okay. And one other thing that I forget to mention, that last week, my back was my old injury in my back. My lumbar region on my right side was acting up. So I spent that week trying to just get it back into where it needed to be. Show up to Abilene, it was fine for the most part, fine. But when I saw that weight, I'm like, oh gosh, my back is gonna absolutely like.
Well, yeah, because you got hit with, you've been training for 2 months at 65 pounds, mastering that craft, and now you're just told the moment you step on your very first station, it's a 30-pound increase.
Yeah, 30-pound increase. And then, but as we continued on to each station, zone 2 was the burpee over the barbell, which I have been practicing a lot lately. So if you see me at Club 4 in Lubbock, Texas, and I'm the crazy fool in the corner doing burpees, that's me.
Go join him.
Yeah, if you dare. So that was no problem, the burpees. But then the surrender lunge, that was heavier weight too. I thought it was what? Here, 35 pounds. It was 50 pounds.
So now a 20-pound
20
difference
pound
on this
increase.
day.
And I'm like, okay. The dumbbell ground overhead, that stayed. That was accurate. And then the bear crawl, men 50-pound dumbbell, dragged or carried. Now for that, per the rules, was, what was that?
Should be
50 pounds.
Yeah.
That's 50 pounds for the peak. So for the foundation, which I did, it was correct. But see, right here it says 50 pounds. So maybe, yeah, I got a little, yeah, I actually maybe went back and forth with that one. The weighted sit-ups, no problem. 20-pound plates, I blasted through that. That was easy. Farmer's carry, 70 pounds. Stuck to that. The dumbbell shoulders to overhead, though, here says 35 pounds, so I stuck to that. When I get there, it said it was 50. I saw two 50-pound dumbbells. At that moment, that's when my heart sunk.
Yeah, because you've been kind of in this. You haven't had any point where you were just able to be steady progress and steady work, because it was immediately spiked because of the 30-pound difference at the thrusters. You were like, okay, well, this weight's the same on this next station. This next station's a little bit different. I have a 20-pound increase this time. So you've been on this kind of like emotional roller coaster as you're performing this race, because everything you've been preparing for 2 months just completely flipped upside down on you. And so now you're met with another challenge of another heavier weight, knowing that your back wasn't at 100%, knowing that now your mind is not even 100% in it, because you're wondering what's going to happen to me next.
Yeah. And that's where what I'm doing right now, I'm kind of reliving it, where I just took a bit of a breath. And I even told the guy, I was like, am I crazy? I'm not so sure if this was a good idea. And he was a typical gym trainer, gym taunt. Oh, you can do it. You can do it. You got it, man. And it's on video. It's on the vlog where I'm stretching. I got my band. I go into a hinge to get my hamstrings activated, and I say, paraphrasing, but I believe I bit off more than I can chew. Mentally at that point, I was trying to hype myself up still. I have to finish this. I have to do this. I drove 2 freaking hours, then change over here. Just can't leave. And went back to the locker room.
So you finished out.
Yeah, I went back to, this is before I started. And so when I was all said and done, when I had convinced myself, okay, I'm going to stay. I'm going to do this. I have to do this. I went back to the locker room.
So you took a break?
Right before I started.
Okay. Yeah,
before
you started that zone.
Oh, yeah, because I had to activate. I had to warm up. I'm north of 40. There's no just jumping into this cold muscles, especially with what I had to do. I forgot to mention the 100-pound sandbag.
Yep.
That was the last thing I had to do.
Yeah.
That right there, I will say I have not trained for that because I don't have access to a bag. So I have a 70-pound wall ball. Mm-hmm. That I was doing wall ball overs, and I was just going to wing it with that one. Okay, I can move 70 pounds, no problem.
Right.
And then 100-pound, I was like,
which again is for foundation is 50 pounds and peak is 70. Oh, that one's female. Yeah.
So if you were to do it,
so that'd be fine.
50. Oh yeah, you'd be fine.
But yeah, so yours should have been at 70 as a foundational. But no, it went to peak and 100. So it sounds like you were battling this whole time with peak and foundational weight classes.
Exactly.
Instead of having one consistent foundational one that you had signed up for. Exactly. And now when he told me this, I was like, well, that's on them. I was like, because usually when we've done races, they ask us. They'll say, which division are you competing in? And I'm assuming when you do your running races, they know that you're in Clydesdale division. They don't just assume and give you the certain times of a different group that you're not in. So to me, that wasn't so much on the ChatGPT, the AI error, or the U. To me, that part was specifically on the communication of the staff at this event, of asking which one, or being like, hey, are you doing peak or foundational? Because if you have 2 weight classes, essentially, that's the question I'm going to ask everybody. So I know how to score for that person, that specific one, because they've been training for it. So that was where I was like, that's really not on you. Because we were talking about this. We were going to Hobbs, and I was kind of like, dang, like AI really screwed you up. And then when he handed me the rule books and when he was telling me what happened, I was like, wait. Did they not even ask you which division you were in?
It was on the paper.
And so, he clearly marks it. He sent me a photo and I even looked at it. I was like, look, you clearly marked foundational. What do you mean?
Yeah.
That, you're going to run into that sometimes too, of just being at certain events, and they're volunteers. I'm not saying, this is terrible on the staff. Like, no, people are going to we are all human, but it is on human error. It is on a certain, whether it's on your end or somebody's, to communicate that, but you marking it clearly on your paper. Yeah, I would have done the same thing. I would have been like, oh, I marked it. This judge is going to see it. They're going to operate on the one that I marked.
Well, they marked it for me because they gave me the piece of paper. My name was already written.
That's even worse.
Foundational. And so my personality. So let's say, for instance, we go to Sonic and we get a hamburger. We've eaten plenty of times. If I get the wrong order,
you're just going to take it.
Yep.
And I will not.
You will not.
I will not.
Yep.
I will let people know if it's not, because I used to be that way very much. And sometimes I'll do that if it's like a coffee order or something. If it's something little, then I'm like, yeah, whatever, I'll still drink it, because I'm not super picky with that. But when it comes to my food or my training, that's where I don't mess around. And because I'm like, I'm paying for this. I've trained for this. This needs to be right. And it's also my OCD. So I have to have it the way that I want it. But no, so I completely see you being like, oh, they have me here at peak. And I know him as well. And especially as a competitor, you want to test yourself. You want to be like, oh, I can handle this, because you want to think you're 10 feet tall and bulletproof and be like,
hubris.
Let's do this. I can do that. That's a 30-pound difference. I can go up to 100. That's not no big deal. I'm James Ruiz. I've been training so hard, nothing can get me. And that's what you think in those moments, because that's what competitors do. They don't say, I can't do this. They don't tap out. They're going to go as hard as they can. That's why so many athletes get injured, aka us. But so now that you've explained that, I can see where you just were like, challenge accepted, let's do this.
Yes. That's where, when I went back into the locker room, and a lot of the time before I do a race, any race, whether it's at the West Texas Running Club or at DEKA, this is just me, but I pray.
Same.
I will pray for my health. I pray for the health of the competitors that are in this. And it usually, and the one thing I will always say is Lord, I just want to go into this healthy and come out this healthy. Everybody else too. Been doing that. I did that. My first time I did that, I was 16 years old at a basketball tournament. And so I've kept consistently. This took a turn, a good turn.
Well, it was what you needed to do to get through the rest of this. You knew it.
Absolutely. And I knew, because there was just this sinking feeling. It's like, I was more nervous about this than when me and you went to Fit. When that moment, I'm in there and I'm in this locker room by myself. I have they sort of know me at the lab, but I didn't have Madison. I didn't have Larry. I didn't have my father. I didn't have my mom. It was just me. And, that's when, at that point, I looked up and I said, all right, I got you. Get me through this. Help me, give me the strength, and let's just see what I can do. Challenge accepted.
Push to your absolute limits.
Push to my absolute limits. I go in with my meta glasses. I turn them on. They got some new metal music playing, which is from my era, back in, my youth, so to speak. And I do the thruster, my first rep. I was like, oh, it's on tape, it's on video. But that right there, when I was lifting that 95 pounds, I was able to get those first 5 reps up, then I had to break. And it was that way for the rest of the Atlas, is because I tried to get 4 or 5 in. I tried to strategize. I was doing my best to just, all right, how am I going to get through this? But the breathing, it got harder and harder. My shoulders were the first to go. Those were the first to go, especially my right shoulder here. But adrenaline, will, whatever you want to call it, it just took over. And I just kept going as much as I wanted to stop.
And you got through it. You conquered it. Yeah, you conquered it. We won't spend too much time on just like what he, of course, went through, because you did, talk about it on the vlog and everything that you did.
Halfway. I didn't get all of it like I wanted to. And I remember when I had to take the glasses off because I was just having sweat pouring down my face. And I was like, screw it. I got to finish this. I mean, whatever. I'll make something of it. But
because you're on fumes at that point.
I was at fumes at the third station, at the third zone, which was the surrender lunges. And I got some leg strength. I really do. But at this point, I was gone. My legs were just shot.
Crazy, because that's what it goes to show you, that if you've been preparing for something and you get surprised, no matter how seasoned you are in the gym, no matter how seasoned you are as an athlete, if you get surprised by this, it's going to take a toll on your body. Because, I mean, like you said, you were gassed out after your very first station. You got 9 more. And then you were even more gassed out by the third. You got 7 more. And that is a lot to do. And you're on a time cap. And your mind's going a million miles an hour, because you're just like, what is going on? What is this? Did I make the right decision? Did I do this? You're thinking so many different things the whole time. Then you get through it. You essentially go on autopilot as you are traveling home, because you're just like, I got to get home.
Oh, yeah. Like when
in a state of delirium on the road, which we don't recommend.
Yeah. And I don't, recommend that. It's, as we record this, it's Thursday. It's the last day of April. My mind is really finally cleared, because when I was done in the middle of this race, I became delirious. I was there, but I wasn't there.
Yeah, you were in the room. You
I
just
was
weren't
in
in
the
the
room.
room.
And I'll never forget the moment when I was finally done with the last, when I got to the Atlas shoulder to carry sandbag with 100 pounds, which, once again, as I stated earlier, I did not train for that specifically. I did dead ball wallovers, which what we do for the strong and the fit.
Which is usually my station.
Yes. And, you know, that was the one where I thought I was going to pull something because I sacrificed form for everything. And I do not recommend, that's where training properly comes in, because at that point I'm just staring at the ground. I'm just miserable. I'm not going to quit, but I tried to do what I do with the dead ball all over. I do a hinge, throw it up to my chest, good morning it, put it, and then I slam it, or I'll throw it over my back, but this time put it on my shoulder. Now, I did that, but it was trying to get it up where it became even more difficult. And then you go 10 meters, come back and do it again. You drop it. If it was just me keeping it on my shoulders, no problem. No problem at all. But the fact that I kept having to drop it, because I had to do the same thing with the farmer's carries. So with the farmer's carries, it's much easier. You're using dumbbells. So at that point, I became, all right, get in this position like you do a hex bar squat. No problem. This was different. This was where the bag was just so condensed, and I tried to hinge it, got it up maybe half the time, and then the other part I had to squat with it. And the form wasn't great. I thought my lower back was going to go out, or worse, my adductor on my left side, which has been one of my Achilles, my metaphorical Achilles heel. But thankfully, by the grace of God, I finished it. I didn't get hurt aside from some sore wrist and my shoulders being shot for a few days.
Some general aches and pains. Yeah.
Aches and pains. I think emotionally, I was right.
Oh, absolutely. Because like we've been touching on, you had been training for so long under this one assumption. It goes completely out the window the moment of the race. So your adrenaline and probably your adrenal function is just all out of whack. Like your cortisol is probably spiked. Like you've got so much now that you're moving through your body and you're powering through, but you're gassed out, but your mind is still going, but your body wants to quit and they're fighting against each other. You finally get done. Everything is absolutely tapped out and gassed, and you have to drive it 2 hours and like around 15 minutes to get back. You get back here and you're just sitting with it because you didn't really have time to, decompress or understand it. And it had to happen over the course of days. Because when he texted me after it, because I had my nephew's t-ball games like that whole weekend. And so I was like, yeah, how'd your race go? Like, what happened? And I could tell immediately that he was mentally tapped out because the way he was texting, the way that he was describing how the race went and how tired he was, I was like, oh, this took it out of him. And then even on Monday a little bit, I could still tell from our text exchange that you were worn out. And then Tuesday when we went to Hobbs and the way your body language was, the way that you were watching the road as you were driving, the way you were talking and zoning out a lot, I could just tell. I was like, this did a number on him because you were aching a little bit more. I could just tell that your mind was just so many different places. And I understood all of it because that's how I was when I would either enter into a volleyball tournament or something with some really good competition. And I didn't either play as good as I thought I did or wasn't ready for a team like that and, did all my film work and all that. But I still was like, what do you mean? Because you just sit with it and you diagnose it and you diagnose it and you diagnose it. And you're just picking everything apart. And it takes a while. And it takes a while because then you're questioning yourself. Did I do this right? Did I sign up for this correctly? Did I do everything I should have done? And you go internal, then you go external. Well, ChatGPT really screwed me because he was telling me, and I was like, ChatGPT screwed you on this because it led you to a 30-pound deficit. And then looking at the rules, I was like, oh my gosh, then the people screwed you. And so I was like, it was a triple threat. It was AI. It was the overall communication at the event, and then it was also yourself because it was all three had to play a part. And so that's a lot to go through. And I've even you're really just now kind of getting back to how you normally function. because it does. It takes a lot out of you. And you even told me, you're like, I don't know if I'll ever do this again.
Yeah,
And that was the one that shocked me, because usually you're like, yeah, I'm going to conquer it the next time and I'm going to see if I can do even better on my time. But when you said that on this one, I immediately was like, oh, this was harder than he thought. I was like,
oh yeah.
and you can see why. Everything we've explained. I mean, I would have been furious. I would have been like, what do you mean it's 30 pounds higher?
To your credit, I think that knowing how you are, knowing how you train, knowing how methodical you are, in a great way.
In a very tedious way.
Very tedious way. I think you would have known what you would have been doing in the first place better than I would have done. That's on me. This was what we're describing right now, this totality, this follow-up. As I'm sitting, like right now, it's almost therapeutic for me to talk to Madison about this and with y'all. Because now I'm sort of reliving it. I really am. I was zoning off a bit ago. I think where I failed myself was that I didn't know all that already. I just, I think it's that. I think it's that. You wouldn't have done that. You wouldn't have done that.
I would have been on there.
You would have been on it. You would have been on it.
I would have been on their butt about it, being like, what do you mean? What's the foundational weight? Where's the peak weight?
So I think that in your case, because we're looking at the rules right here, if she were to do foundation, she being Madison, or peak, I'm looking at both these weights. I know how strong she is. I know how strong you are.
Yeah, my nephew said so yesterday.
Oh yeah. Shout out to Wyatt. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think you would have gotten through this. Easy. I think it would have been, I don't think it would have been easy. I think it would have been, especially rep after rep. But that's where you, I feel, would have succeeded more so than I. You would have talked to the judges, hey, this is supposed to be X amount of weight, not this. I don't think there would have been a kerfuffle. They were like, oh yeah, sure, do it. But I didn't do that. That's on me. With looking at the training aspect of this portion of it that I printed out, that's also because I corrected it. I told it, correct it. Oh yeah, it corrected it. So I thought, but that's also on me too, because I didn't double check. And
in theory, you kind of did, because you checked the rules before you even made this program, and you knew what the numbers were. But it wasn't taking into account that you could also be potentially doing peak weight as well. So I think if you are to ever do it again, I think you can go two ways. One, choose peak or foundational, train for that one specifically, and no matter what, don't let anybody tell you differently. And then two, if you wanted to, train for both. Like, do it intermittently. 1 week is foundational, 1 week is peak, and kind of just build a strength in terms of doing that duality and see what that produces. So I feel like you could do both and that would be easy. But basically what we want to get across in this video is what happens when you utilize AI, when you sometimes don't always double check it because you're just like, okay, it knows, let's do this, especially if you're used to using it as a tool as we are. Sometimes it does become increasingly harder to double check it because it kind of follows your patterns. It knows kind of what you expect out of it. And so you don't really think you need to, and especially for something like this. And so it's, double checking yourself on it, and it's double checking your surroundings where you're with, making sure that they're also doing it right if you're doing an event or something like that. Because I've made my lifting programs with AI.
You mentioned this earlier, and I want to shift away from like what with your programs as of late. And you mentioned this off air, like you've utilized AI and it's made mistakes with you. How so?
So for my training, I do functional hybrid training, and I do 6 to 8 week programs of consistent 5 days. And so I usually do 2 leg days, back and bicep day, shoulder tricep day, and a full body cardio day. And so with mine, I like to make them in Google Sheets because I fill out also my weight, because I do progressive overload. So I'm increasing every single week. And then I do RPEs so I can see how challenging it was the week before, because that's how I trained with my brother. That's how he organized my programs. And so I like that. I like having a list. I like having areas to fill in my weight. I like areas to fill in my RPE. And so I kept that same structure. And I know what my goals are. I've been in the gym long enough to know what I want to do, but I like using ChatGPT in terms of organizing it for me. and just letting it go into the table that I need it to go in, color code it with the color coding I want for that week, and then going. Yeah, I color code all my programs. So
that's good.
I do it so I can measure and see kind of where I was at certain areas of my training.
Yeah.
And so for that, I would tell it exactly what I told you guys. I was like, I do hybrid training. I'm doing 5 days a week. I want to make sure I have 2 leg days. I want to make sure that I increase my hamstring because I'm quad dominant. I want to make sure I'm getting, proper hip extensions because I also have very tight hips from playing sports for a long time. I have a lot of injuries, so I have to be careful of certain things. Like I have all these things that go into my programs, and I have to be very methodical about it because there are certain exercises I cannot do just because of my injuries. And so I will say it, and then it'll give me a 6 to 8 week program, and I go through it. And a lot of times it will repeat a exercise, and it will do it like on one of my leg days, it'll say hip thrusters for the first one. And then for the second one, it's another set of hip thrusters. And I'm like, I don't need to be doing the same 2.
That's
I was
redundant.
like, that's way too much overload, especially because I lift heavy. I lift very heavy because I want to do progressive overload. I want to be as fast and strong as I possibly can all my life. And so I push it with my weight. And so I don't need to be doing that, especially when I have, knee injuries and things like that. So I'll catch it with stuff like that. And I'll catch it with, even on arm days, it'll do like so many different overhead presses on one shoulder day. And I'm like, that's a lot on a human body. Like that's a lot of overload. And especially
it doesn't switch
having
the angle up for you?
instead of it will, but it'll be like go single arm. And then it'll be like, do this overhead press and then do this next one. And I'm like, back to back, like, no. And or it'll do it on 2 separate days where it's like one of them do chest press and then another one's like do single arm shoulder press. And I'm like, yeah, you can do that. I was like, but I like to do it a little bit more strategically than that because I want to hit the smaller muscles as well as the big ones. And I'm also just a bigger fan of Arnold presses anyways. And so that it doesn't always know kind of the different variations of certain exercises in their names. They'll just kind of say it. So sometimes it would be like, do a seated press. And I was like, what do you mean? A seated overhead press, a single arm press, a Arnold press? Like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
So it would do stuff like that. And then for like my hamstring work, it would have me do like 2 different sort of hamstring curls. And I was like, what? But it would word it different. And so I would catch those things. I'd be like, that's wrong. That's wrong. That's not what I need to be doing. So I go in and then after it, is like anything else I can do? I'm like, yeah, let's fix this.
Yeah.
And so then I go in and I have to correct it pretty much on every day. And then I have it set up in Google Sheets for me. I transfer it over to my Google Sheets app. I look at that. It's color coded, nice and neat. And even then, I'll look at it and I go through it and I'm like, I don't want to, no, that's not right. And I go in and I personally rewire all of my programs and I redo it on all the I do 8 weeks. And so I redo all the 8 weeks of every single one. And so sometimes I'm like, why did I even use ChatGPT?
Yeah.
Because I know what I'm doing. I think very quickly. And I think very broad. And so I use ChatGPT to kind of narrow things down and kind of take it out of going a million miles in here to being on something tangible to where I can sit and look at it and go, oh, okay, and slow me down a bit. That's mostly what I use ChatGPT for because I can get caught up and like do a different workout every time, but that's not how you're going to actually gain strength and progress. You need to be doing the same exercises for 6 to 8 weeks if you want to build muscle, lose weight, get faster, build endurance and things like that. It's not going to happen if you mix it up and do a different workout every single day and not track it to the next week.
Yeah.
So, and that's what a lot of people get mixed up with. But yeah, so I've had to use chat for that and severely correct it because again, just also with how I am, I have to make sure that it's right. I have to make sure that it's because I'm not going to be in the gym looking at my program and become frustrated and do something I don't need to be doing. Because we very much, like we say, your body is the most permanent place you ever live in. Treat it with intention. When I am in the gym, just like when you're in the gym, we are very intentional people. We're going to make sure that we are doing the correct exercise for our program, for our goals, and for our testing of strength and endurance. I'm not going to go in there and just try some things out. Yeah. I only ever do that if it's a new gym that I haven't been to. and I'll give myself a little bit of time to kind of test out a new machine that I see
Yeah.
after I'm done doing my program.
That's what I do.
I do my workout, what I need to get done, and then I'll go test some stuff out. Me and my brother will do that too. We'll be like, ooh, I want to do this and see if I want to incorporate it in my next program. And like where I work out at and we're used to work out at, they are starting to get new machines sporadically. So a lot of times I'll keep an eye on that machine, I'll try it out, and I'll incorporate it in my next 8-week program. And so all in all, what we're saying is always double check AI if you are going to use it. And if not, I mean, good for you. This is not saying that you have to, but I'm just saying for something that unfortunately is going to be sticking around for a long time and not going away, sometimes it's better to know how to use it than to run from it, because it's just going to frustrate you more. And so that's a way I feel like both you and I learn how to deal with the fact that AI is around for something that could potentially want to replace us. It's not going to happen, because it doesn't take effect the human condition and any sort of human elements. It does get very good at understanding your patterns and your wants and goals, but it doesn't understand, oh, you have this injury. Oh, this doesn't always feel right to you. Because there's several movements that James can do that I can't, or that I can do that James can't, because you have different bone lengths, you have different injuries, you have the male and female component, you have the age difference, you have all these different things. And sometimes it just, one workout won't work for you the same that it will somebody else. They're always going to be different, because there's some, like, you really like doing goblet squats, right?
Yes.
And I don't, because they hurt my back. Because the way my legs are, it's just not ideal for me. I have very long tibias. So most of the time I need to have more of a wider stance when I do anything squat related, and having anything weight bearing in the front is just not good for me. But for you, you can burn through and they're easy. You don't do a whole lot of deadlifts and barbell squats, but I do.
Yeah, compared to you, I don't. I've have utilized more of the barbell squats, borrowing from a lot from what you do, and I've reached a good amount of success doing that. But I still do tend to go back to a reliable goblet squats, because we're both built. There's the components you mentioned that differentiate the both of us. I've had a lot of success with the goblet squats until it does not bring those results. Then I'll stick, and then I'll stick with it until I can't.
See, with me, I stick to my main big three, and I do my barbell squats, I do barbell deadlift, and I do barbell incline bench press, because I can't do flat bench because I injured my sternum and I can't do it if it's flat.
That's a good question. I want to ask you. So, with like myself, like when I'm doing an incline bench press or flat back, do you prefer dumbbells or barbell?
Always barbell. Because with the dumbbell, you're going to have a more dominant arm over the other.
Yes.
And so sometimes it can either overcompensate or it can go to where you don't do a full rep. And I always just think of the just weird off chance that you drop it. And to me, I'd rather have a better grip on a barbell than I would a dumbbell, because sometimes if somebody's arm just shoots out and you hyperextend or something and something happens.
I could see that.
And I feel more comfortable with barbells. It's what I've always trained with when it came to, sports, whether I was in basketball, volleyball, or track. I constantly was on barbells because that's what every weight room had. And I just feel more confident. And especially with my shoulders and the way they are, there are certain movements that my left shoulder can do that my right can't. Because if you can see the difference, I'm an overhead athlete. I have been for 12 years. You can see how this shoulder sits higher than this one, because of how much I overused it. Because I'm overhand, I was swinging like this for 12 years. And that's what one of my kinesiology professors said. She was like, any overhead athlete is going to look different in their shoulders. And she had me come up there and stand up, and she said, what sport do you think she plays? And they were like, well, volleyball, because they knew me. But you could tell because this one sits up higher than this one. And so it's harder for me to do those things because I can't always go down the furthest because my shoulder just won't.
Yeah, I'm checking out my shoulder.
And so there's always going to be a difference there. So it's also just knowing your body. And that is also something that ChatGPT won't know unless, you can tell it all day long and say, I've got injuries. I've got this shoulder, this hip, that knee, that ankle, and do that. And it will tweak some things for you, but it won't be as an intentional because it can't feel what you feel. when you're doing a workout. It can't know how you might twinge here, it might burn here, it might be sore, it might be straight up pain in one area. So it's just really taking, I guess you could say, inventory of your own body and your own training. And yes, ChatGPT can help organize your thoughts because that's what I use it for, but don't ever solely rely on it, because then you might also end up hurting yourself, having a wrong program, and end up going and doing something that you shouldn't be doing because you're out of your limits because of what you've been following. So always double check it. Make sure that you're also double checking if you're doing any sort of racing. Make sure that the people organizing it know what you're doing, and stick to your guns. But other than that, I think it can be a very useful tool. But that's just a little bit of what James and I do. I am going to do a vlog with you guys soon of kind of taking you with me, because I know we've kind of talked about how I train and do different things. And I know James has been really good at taking vlogs with you guys and what he's been doing. So I'd love to take you guys with me into the gym, because I just think we'd have some fun. And yeah, and then go from there. And so we definitely wanted to make sure that we did more of just a sit down podcast with you guys. Like we said, we missed you. We've been doing a little bit more vlog stuff, which we will. We'll do stuff like that intermittently to kind of let you guys get more of an insight of what we do. And other than that, I hope you guys have a blessed whatever day it is for you that you're watching this, and we'll catch you next time.
Take it easy.